Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Zero Excuses podcast. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Kenyon. You are listening to the Wheelbook Wednesday of the show. This is one of my short shows where I share with you some of my random thoughts or ideas from the past week, break them down for you into some actionable, practical strategies that you can implement right away after listening to this. And today, what I wanted to talk with you guys about is how to involve your wife or your spouse or your significant other, whatever terminology you choose to use for that special person in your life. I want to give you guys some ideas on how you can start to get them involved in your planning process, even if they don't necessarily agree with the level of detail that you get down to in your planning process or agree with the tactics that you choose to employ. The other thing that I want to say here before I get into it is I don't want to sound like I have this part completely figured out or an expert or even perfectly execute on this to begin with. I mean, my wife will be the first one to tell you that I'm certainly not perfect in this area. However, I've learned a lot in this process, and I want to share that with you guys. There's plenty of times, even recently, that I've fallen short in this area, and it's not going to be easy all the time for you to talk about your lofty goals and your dreams, because simply put, you're going after something that a very small percentage of people go after, and that's going to be uncomfortable, even for you to think about even. So just put yourself in someone else's shoes who you need to deliver this information to. It's also going to be awkward. So it's going to be difficult. So just accept that and embrace the fact that this is something that's difficult, but you're going after something very lofty, something that not a lot of people have the balls to go after. But getting your significant other on board with your plans, or at least communicating them to them, it's simply going to keep you guys on the same page, and it's also going to open up the lines of communication for that other person to communicate what they want, and so that your plans don't interfere with each other. And here's something else to keep in mind. I've seen a lot of people set lofty goals, dream big, go after these big targets, but they fail to communicate that with their significant other and end up being derailed because they never got the support or the buy-in or even the understanding of their partner. So that's why it's so imperative to open this line of communication with your spouse or your partner. And it doesn't matter whose fault, quote unquote, it is. It's up to you to make this change and to start to communicate your intentions, your plans, or whatever it may be. I highly recommend a book called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. There's a lot of good information about taking complete ownership of situations and doing everything that's within your control to positively impact a situation. And another book that, since we're on the subject of books here, I also highly recommend The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. All right, enough of me rambling here. I wanted to offer you guys 4 tips, not in any particular order. This isn't a step-by-step guide by any means, but I wanted to offer some 4 tips and lessons that I've learned, not only in my marriage, but with any of my other relationships that I've had throughout my adult life here. But anyways, my first tip here is execute your plan no matter what. Still plan. Do everything that's within your control. You need to start piling up those positive results so that you could say, hey, look, this is what I'm doing and here's the results. I mean, also be realistic about it. Don't sugarcoat things. You got to let your actions speak for you. There's no way for you to argue with the facts of the results that you're getting. And my second tip here is don't overcomplicate explaining things. You don't have time to build your case, and they don't want to hear a sob story either. And you can't try to, quote unquote, sell them on your idea. You have to be very factual and matter of fact about how you explain your plans and why they need to be involved in your planning process. And my third tip here is to start with the end in mind. If you start by explaining what your end state of whatever you're going after looks like, for example, if you want to make $10 million, you need to start with that fact. I know that sounds a little lofty and also pretty simple, but if you can explain your vision to your significant other and explain it in terms that they can understand and envision themselves, that will make explaining what you have to do to achieve that end result a lot easier, because they already know what you're going after. You have a vision. You know exactly where you're going. And like I said, it makes explaining the amount of time, energy, and even money that you may have to invest in this endeavor easier to palate. So my last tip here is you also have to make sure that you explain what's in it for them. What role do they play in your plan? What sort of support do you need from them? And you need to think about that ahead of time as well. And I know that I mentioned at the beginning of this that I had 4 tips. I actually had a 5th come to mind as I was talking here, and that is turn this planning event, whether it's a quarterly planning event, a weekly planning event, or even a daily planning event, turn it into something fun and something that both of you can look forward to. These yearly or even quarterly plans can be a weekend away at a nice resort for you guys to get together and have some relaxing time and plan out your quarter or your year. Arrange for someone to watch the kids, take a retreat. I mean, turn it into something fun. Make it a ritual. Make it an event. Make it something special that you both can look forward to. And to be honest, I need to do that a little more often myself. So I'm making notes as I'm talking here, something that I'm going to implement even myself here. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys are helping bring out the best in me, because as I'm talking about this stuff, I'm coming up with even more ideas. So that's all I have for you guys today. Don't forget to check the show notes for the links to our closed Facebook group, my coaching programs, our Mastermind, and also don't forget to head on over to iTunes to leave us a rating and a review, to subscribe to the show, and to also share this with your friends and family if you're getting some value out of it. All right, guys, thanks again for tuning in. I'll talk with you again soon.